Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News, the final day of the VCT Playoffs around the world. Big results are going to go down this evening. 100 Thieves are prepared for their G2 rematch in the Americas Grand Finals to effectively determine the big favourite from that region going into the big tournament in Shanghai. 100 T are convinced they're going to win this evening, and they are going to win emphatically, despite G2 with an impressive victory against Lev yesterday. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. We've already known now for a few days who the teams are going to be that are attending, and of course it's the seeding that really matters from now onwards. These are the players that are going to attend their first ever international tournament of the way. EU on 100 Thieves, Icy on G2 Esports, Tex on the Viaton. We've got, of course, Woot on Heretics, who's playing incredibly well. For Esports are going as well with Yetige, and then on T1, Excret, Izu, and Rossi. And then we've got the Dragon Ranger boys, as we shall discuss it over the coming minutes. This also is the full global representation. Really cool to see, actually, right? 18 countries represented. Well, it depends on, I think there was maybe some, Chinese accounts in the replies talking about this thing at the bottom here, shall we say? So maybe some might say 17, but whatever. There's 18 different flags here, USA, Canada, and it goes down from there. So really cool to see the international representation around the world. And yeah, obviously we've got the Chinese region, Australian players there, Malaysian players, and it's going to be a fantastic event. Dragon Ranger Gaming did bow out of the tournament yesterday in the Chinese side. They went down to Edward Gaming 3-1. It was, again, not absolutely crushing. I mean, 13-10, 13-3 to be fair, on Dragon Ranger Gaming's pick. It's such an interesting region, China. You never really know what's going to happen. Kang played well, and then Ascent was then 13-2 the other way. So, how can you explain this stuff? But then they close it out on the bind, 13-6. Job done. Edward Gaming move on, and they will play today, of course, as we'll see right about here, up against, well, actually, it should have just about started. FVX versus Edward Gaming. Game 1 is 11-6 to FVX. So, we'll see what happens in this series. Of course, we'll talk about it tomorrow, but maybe there's a changing of the guard here, right? FVX beat Edward Gaming in the upper final. We've seen before that when that happens, Edward Gaming go on to bounce back and they win the grand finals anyway. Not so sure that's going to be the case today based on the way things have looked over the last couple of weeks, but who honestly knows? Then we have also the grand finals in the Pacific region, PaperX versus Gen.G. This game is currently at 1-1. The Lotus was 39 to Gen.G on PaperX's pick. Then it's gone the other way around, and then the Icebox is upcoming with a bind and potentially a split to follow. So this is actually a really important game because the winner gets a bye straight to the playoffs. This is what we discussed the other day, that the winners of these respective regions, and here's obviously FNS having a good time watching these guys play with the jersey on, but we know that the winner of the games, those two that I've just mentioned, but also the games that go on this evening, the winner qualifies straight to the playoffs, and they get to choose, as we saw yesterday, who their opponent is going to be. Now, their choice, as we discussed, is somewhat randomly defined when they're not guaranteed to get the first pick, but they will get a pick of which team that they want to play off from the ones that actually came through the play-ins, as it were, the Swiss system, before you get down to the final 8 teams. If you're the team that gets unlucky and gets the final, basically the short straw, you don't get to choose, you get given, what you get. But that's how it's been now for some time. And of course, today's results, 3 World Championship points, which is quite a big deal because the teams got that for winning the playoffs at the start of the season. They got 3 points, Sentinels for winning Madrid, and the 3 points are pretty important towards qualifying for the big one at the end of the season. So for many teams, if they win today, that 3 points will pretty much do it for them to lock up their champ spot for the end of the year. Let's talk EMEA then. FNATIC, a 3-1 victory over FNATIC Esports. This was again an interesting game. This is a struggle that you have if you're FNATIC Esports and these Turkish guys, because you have a phenomenal Turkish team, but the reality is that the best Turkish player is on FNATIC, right? And Alpha came to play yesterday. Durka as well, 79 in 4 maps, but Alpha 81 in 4 maps. Really impressive. Of course, averaging over 20 a map here, and had it gone game 5 Ascent, who knows what would have happened? Could the record have been broken for kills in a series? It nearly happened yesterday in another series we'll get into. But yeah, FNATIC Esports took the map 1 on the Icebox. Again, it's these classic comebacks that FNATIC are making. And look, FNATIC, it's a very interesting run they've had. They're clearly not the same dominant force that they previously were, but they still have it within them, and despite the fact that they're having slow starts, there is a lot of confidence at FNATIC that they can actually bring these situations back. And to be fair, I'll give credit to Boaster here, right? Because Boaster ends up, well, I was talking the last few days, he gets slammed and they win. This game, 18-9, you know, top on the rating on the Brimstone, and they win the game. So that was nice to see. But as we can see, right, close first half, and then they run away with it, and it wasn't quite the same on Breeze. It was a really tight fought affair, and then FNATIC eventually won 13-11, and then it was a crazy overtime on the split to bow out. And as we see again, FNATIC down 8-4 at the half, they bring it back. So the amount of comebacks FNATIC have had to make here to actually make this work, I mean, they go down 8-4 at the half, they lose the pistol, they bring it back on the split. I mean, a classic split, absolute banger to close out a series. How many times are we going to see this? So yeah, honestly, both great teams. Looking forward to seeing them play in Shanghai, and FNATIC just a little bit stronger because, you know, they've been so up and down really. They've lost to teams that we might have expected them to. They've beaten teams sometimes well and emphatically, but nothing like what we saw previously really. And I think we're probably going to see more of the same going forwards, but it's going to be an interesting story to watch. Like, you're no longer going in watching FNATIC thinking, okay, it's a guaranteed Grand Finals appearance. They are going to have to work hard for their meal here. And honestly, given their performance against Heretics the other day, that series tonight is going to be really interesting, right? Because they play this evening up against Heretics in a rematch. And yeah, who knows what's going to happen in this one. But if they lose to Heretics again, of course, this is the best of 5, not the best of 3 that they lost to Heretics just the other day. Could be a very different story. And as Durka says, all these stressful comebacks are happening. But you want to win that series against Heretics, lock up the #1 seed, get the bye straight to the playoffs, get the 3 championship points on the board as well. And the same story applies in the Americas, right? So yesterday we saw the Lev versus G2 game. You can clearly tell that both of these teams, especially with how long this series was, were knackered at the end of it, right? There was not much more for these guys to give at the end of the series. This was already 1-1 at this point. King finds himself up here, of course. He kills the, you know, the planter with the wingman, and then takes in a 1 versus 3, gets 1, gets 2, closes out the third for a 1 versus 3 clutch from this corner. And that's what Ethan was saying. Yeah, maybe time to rename some of the spots on these maps. So Tech steals the icebox away. Obviously, interesting storyline here in the first place, right? Because he was on the guard, Tex. They got rid of him in controversial fashion before the season unfolded, bringing Leaf into their roster. Tex then goes to Lev, and here we go. The guard are now G2, and of course they get the job done on this map, but not over the course of the series, right? So yeah, crazy game, and I mean, these numbers are also ridiculous as well, but the bind was 14-12, Lev's way, game 1. They then bounced back on the Breeze 13-7. We saw what happened on the icebox, another crazy overtime. G2, though, do seem to have a problem to some extent closing out the games. It's an interesting trend, isn't it, that the games that they won were relatively comfortable. I mean, 13-10, 13-11, I wouldn't call that comfortable, but, you know, the games they won, 13-7, 13-10, and then the final one, that they did close out impressively. But, you know, you've got to say for G2, you know, 12-10 up here to then lose 4 straight to lose the game. They were 11, you know, 12-11 up here to lose 3 in a row to lose the game. Something to think about, you know, clutch factor for sure from the guys on Lev. And of course, Aspas had, as always, a great map here on the icebox, but something to say maybe on the G2 side about whether they were as strong as closing out games as they might have been. But I mean, this was remarkable, right? The record now in the VALORANT, you know, Champions Tour is 101 kills in the grand finals, or maybe not even grand finals, just in a series in general, right? And it's typically either a grand finals or a losers finals where you get 5 maps that can be played. The record was set by Demon 1 last year with 101 kills. Zekken then tied that this season with 101 kills. And then in one series, the curse simply cannot be broken, right? It's crazy to think about that both Valin and Aspas had 101. Now, Aspas with 101, Zekken with 101, Demon 1 with 101. Maybe no surprise, star duelist players. Valin, you know, IGL, smokes player with 101. Like, what a performance from him individually. And it was enough to get them the victory in the end. So G2 advance, they take down Lev, and they will play 100 Thieves in the finals.
Grand finals, I hope you know we will auto win that.
You guys should have lost yesterday, and you will lose the next time.
No. We played like shit yesterday, and we still beat them.
Okay, that's crazy.
That is true. I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little upset by how bad we were playing.
Yeah, I have so much confidence now because of how much we didn't care and like played it like.
I'm not gonna lie.
Energy, and we still beat them.
Okay, now I hope we get the matchup.
I hope we do too. I would love to play them again because we will 3-0 them.
You guys do have. You guys are playing with fucking. You guys are all flow state for some reason.
No, we just played fucking awful though. It was so sad. It was like I was actually getting a little demoralized mid game because of how bad. It was even like 10%.
It was a good game though. It was a good game to watch.
Yeah, we made it a good game.
Yeah.
We could have made it a fucking awful game.
Just no Pulchon. If we make grand finals, it will be a stop.
I'll be here no matter what.
All right, you be there no matter what. Our confidence is at an all-time high.
It really is.
Actually, all-time low.
I like it though. I like watching you guys do good.
Me too. I like watching Asuna do good.
He
deserves it.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about the words there from Boostio and from Asuna on their match today? Because we saw what Boostio said after the series when they played G2 and took them down 2 days ago. It's like, yeah, we played at 50% capacity that series. We're going to slam them. And the feeling was that, yeah, they played Lev yesterday. And it was, as FNS wisely describes, I think, the worst, best match ever. Like, it was great. It was down to the wire. 13-11, final map of the series. Most maps are a banger. Crazy overtimes in there. But worst in the sense that it was not maybe the highest quality stuff. And it's probably what you might expect at this point of the tournament. The series matters, obviously, but it doesn't matter quite as much as the series to qualify you for Shanghai. That losers finals is kind of, whatever. But the grand finals, then once you get there, it's like, okay, this is pretty important because you want to get the bye through to the playoffs, as we have mentioned. So maybe not the highest quality stuff, and that is probably why 100 tier thinking, okay, these guys are vulnerable. We're probably going to take down G2 this evening. If they were to, that would be quite the statement, right? Because people are looking around the world, around the different regions. I would say that at the moment, it's looking like the Pacific are the strongest, right? They've got Paper X over there. They've got Gen.G over there, both are looking very strong. From the Americas, there's Sentinels aren't where they were before. There's no Loud, and these other teams that have been strong from the region. FNATIC don't look like the team that they previously have been. Na'Vi aren't even going to be there, right? So, really you're looking at the Pacific region as being the real threat here. But if 100 Thieves, if they come out and deliver a great performance this evening against G2, I think there can be some real confidence, and for good reason. They can be a serious threat going into this upcoming tournament, and a straight bye to the playoffs never hurts either. So remarkable stats from yesterday. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. Take care, and I'll see you next time.